Okay, I confess, I do love the Packer theme song, "The Bears Still Suck."
The Bears still suck. The Bears still suck.
Okay, but in spite of that great theme song, I do not like what is happening, and it does not sound right. The Indiana Bears, really? My husband, John Cole, a Baltimore Colts fan, and still furious that Indiana, as he says, stole the Colts back in 1984, insists that Indiana is merely showing its colors right now. They are NFL thieves. First Baltimore, the Colts, and now Chicago, the Bears. Is Indiana really going to get the Bears? Today, the franchise gave an update.
Focus at this point in time is working on a world-class stadium and mixed-use development in Hammond, Indiana.
Who's to blame for this? We're going to find out from former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich. He joins me. Also, have you heard of peptides? It's another word for GLP-1s, or the popular weight loss drugs. Eli Lilly is now suing 6 companies over an experimental weight loss drug, but there's a big catch with this drug. And Secretary of War Pete Hegseth is firing back after reports of frustrated sailors aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln. The Nimitz-class nuclear-powered aircraft carrier is in the Middle East.
Every ship, every crew, every captain has everything we can provide them at every single moment.
I'm Greta Van Susteren. This is The Record. Now our soundbite shuffle. News in seconds. Sit back and watch us scroll. A new campaign ad from a Democrat in a very heated race, and an old ad from Abdul El-Sayed resurfaces. But first, Hunter Biden lavishing praise on Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
I look at her and I think that and I see the future of the Democratic Party in every way. I think that AOC, not only as a communicator, but as someone that can, that has an instinct to find common ground.
Do you deserve any responsibility, though, Lieutenant Governor, for those fraud schemes that have taken place in your state over the last several years?
I would say, the governor says the buck stops with him. More should have been done sooner, and I agree.
I believe we need a economic realignment in this country. Tax billionaire wealth. You could raise $4 trillion if you taxed the billionaires.
This is my pawpaw.
And Jimmy is my grandson.
As a Baptist preacher in South Texas, he taught me to follow the 2 great commandments. Love God
and love your neighbor.
Thanks, mailbox.
We just got a letter. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. I wonder who it's from. Oh, it looks like my ballot. Votes gonna do, we can't do.
CPAC Chairman Matt Schlapp joins me, as well as former Special Assistant to President Biden, Michael LaRosa. Matt, you're smiling. You like that last ad. I think it's pretty good, too.
You know, you have to give him credit. He's trying to use this idea of cutting through all the established media channels and putting his own brand out there. Now, I think that's the set from Elmo. I have enough kids, I think, to know that. I just also think it looked a little bit like Pee Wee Herman.
A little bit. Michael, it seems like if you watch everybody read everything online about this election, it's going to be a contest between communism and mega extremism, leaving out the middle of the road, the independents, and the moderates.
Yeah, that's why there's going to be a choice. It's ultimately going to be, that's why candidates matter too. So it's going to be a choice between 2 people. And that's what voters are going to have to decide as well. We'll see if Republicans can make the case effectively that Democrats are too scary. And you know what, to be honest, that's what they would have to do, because a lot of Republicans don't want to run on the Iran war like President Biden. They do not want to run on high costs and inflation. Not that it's this president's fault, but that's just the economic reality. The climate and the economic conditions are not great for them. So like it was for us in 2022, the goal will probably be to try to disqualify the opponents.
Yeah, and that's, Matt, that's what it is with this mega extremism. That's the hit from the left,
Right.
and communism is the hit from the right, whether you credit either one of them. But it's like I'm not hearing what they're going to do about some issues. And the issue they keep bringing up every day is health care. It's like doesn't even exist as a topic anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you look at, put them in a couple buckets here. You have food, you have fuel, you have housing, you have healthcare. And Republicans who are thinking they can just avoid these questions of inflation impact, I think are making a mistake. I think actually what they want to do is say how we solve those problems. And the thing is this, we either go back to what Biden did, which is he passed things like the Inflation Adjustment Act, which didn't do anything on inflation, just super juiced the economy. It was all about the government doing everything, the government solving every problem. And we want to juxtapose that with the fact that Biden did such a massive impact and such a hit on the American people. And they know that, which is why they didn't vote for Kamala Harris, that we have the solutions to these problems. Now, maybe the medicine takes a little bit longer than we want to fix the economy, but it's these solutions that are the medicine. How do we know that, Greta? We know that because we have El Sayed and we have Tallarico and we have AOC, and their solution is socialism, communism, which at its heart has anti-Americanism and anti-Israel at the very heart of it.
Well, at the very heart of it, and I'll go to you and probably just hand you this one, Michael, is that, the very heart of it is, we have a limited amount of money. We have a gigantic debt. And and everyone points the fingers at everybody else. Both parties are big spenders. And now as we get closer to elections, there's always a tendency to want to spend more, whether it's in reality or saying I'm going to give you this. But we have a big problem in this country with money.
Yeah, I keep hearing a lot of them, the DSA crowd, the more hard left crowd, talk about things like Medicare for all.
Where are they going to get it? Where do they get the money?
They don't even know. And pragmatists, like I would say myself, understand that that's aspirational for them, but they don't tell their voters that. They don't tell their voters. Actually, I should take that back. El Sayed on Sunday show did say it's going to take some sacrifice, which means raising taxes. Now, I don't know if that's a winning message in Michigan. I would think not. But he's probably not wrong about that. It's going to raise people, but the bottom line is 5 million people in Michigan don't want to lose their private health insurance either.
Well, Ro Khanna says he's going to get it from the billionaires. What's he going to do? Raid their homes and see what their art is on their walls? I don't know where he's going to get it. But Matt, the Republicans, I don't see, at least I haven't read. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong. Is there a health care proposal? The Democrats say Medicare for all, can't pay for it, but is there something that the Republicans have because people are facing these huge medical issues?
Right, and President Trump has quite a good story to tell on his desire to make sure that there's more of a global price for prescription drugs, and they've been very aggressive on rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse, and I think they need to continue to do that. But at the bottom line, and Greta, you and I always maybe disagree on this a little bit, but one of the reasons why American healthcare is so expensive is because we have really no limitations, or at least not enough limitations, on the ability to sue when there's a medical setback.
Matt,
now, I think
I got to stop you right there, Matt. Matt, I'll stop you right there.
Oh, no.
I got to tell you, I was a really good trial lawyer. I won a whole lot of cases. And once in a while, I never won one medical malpractice case ever. And I was a really good trial lawyer. And let me tell you something. Every time there is one every time there's one that is won, all of a sudden the media goes crazy and puts a big spotlight on it as though it's all of them. That's just not true.
But let me give you a little bit of pushback. I spent a lot of time in Europe. It is not uncommon to have loser pays statutes, so that if there are frivolous lawsuits, you should have to pay for that. And I do think people in the medical community deserve to be held accountable.
A poor person who's got someone who's got a house, a small house, can't possibly risk that against a big. These doctors are represented by insurance companies. You're not suing the doctors. You're suing the insurance companies. And they got a lot of money to run somebody in the ground.
But I think the insurance companies and big medical companies too often have protections from liability. I also don't believe they should have protections from liability. I just want to make sure they're held accountable on the errors and that all of us don't pay bigger bills just because there's lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. America is infected with too much legal abuse, and I think that needs to stop.
Well, you're lucky you're not here because you and I have a long talk after this show. Anyway, Michael, I'm sorry that
That's
that
okay. I'm fascinated being a spectator about the medical malpractice law.
Indeed. Anyway, Matt Schlapp, who I don't know if you ever see him again on this show. Just teasing. Matt's coming back probably next time I'm on.
He has too many kids getting married.
Matt Schlapp, whose daughter's getting married. Congratulations, Michael LaRosa. Thank you both.
Thank you, guys.
Coming up, a surrogate refused to abort the baby she was carrying and now is embroiled in a legal battle with the biological parents. That when the record continues.
You're a proud American in the land of the free. But how do you feel about things right now? Are you thriving or just surviving? What's lifting you up? What's dragging you down? What issues matter to you most? Your voice and your vote is your power. Use that power and share your story with us. The voice of the voter. Newsmax is listening. Visit newsmax.com/voice of the voter.
This isn't your average pill. This is Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks.
Rose Sparks is a fast-acting solution because it dissolves under your tongue.
Rose Sparks.
Guys, get started today.
Connect with a provider to find out if Rose Sparks are right for you.
What if your GLP-1 for weight loss was as easy to take as a mint? Small, discreet, and easy. Think about that. No needles. This is compounded tirzepatide, a mint-flavored tablet designed to fit into your daily routine. You simply let it dissolve under your tongue. A simple daily tablet, as easy to take as a mint.
Save $50 with promo code SLIM at dropthepounds.com/slim. That's promo code SLIM at dropthepounds.com/slim.
Don't kibble your dog.
Hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, back.
What's wrong with this?
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means they're ultra-processed. At Dr. Marty, we freeze-dry premium meats, fruits, and vegetables, and it's available at your local pet store.
While this banana may not save you from someone breaking into your home, Berna's banana helped one vet repel an intruder in his.
This huge guy, 6'5", 6'6", just barreled through my front door. I have my Berna and my Glock. I always go for the Berna first. I've seen enough death and destruction to last 2 lifetimes. Here is the perfect item I can have, feel totally safe, and know I'm not going to kill anybody.
At Berna, we don't sell bananas, we sell peace of mind.
McKenna West is a surrogate mother. The biological parents of the child she was carrying, upon learning that the baby had a severe but treatable heart condition called hypoplastic, asked her to abort the baby. The surrogate refused. In April, they all went to court, and of course, the parties had a contract. And the surrogacy contract between West and the biological parents contains a clause that allowed termination if there were a, quote, anomaly during the pregnancy. After the diagnosis, the couple asked West to abort the unborn baby. West refused to terminate the pregnancy, and she went to Texas. Under Texas state law, she would be recognized as the birth mother. Yesterday, the boy who West named Gabriel was born in a Dallas hospital. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton filed a petition urging doctors to give the baby life-saving care upon his birth. On Tuesday, this petition was granted and stopped the baby from being taken out of the state of Texas. Gabriel will now undergo life-saving care for his heart condition. Under the court order, West, the surrogate mother, is not allowed to see or hold the baby. Right now, no one knows what will happen when Gabriel is discharged from the hospital, assuming his heart condition can be successfully repaired. Okay, now to some big news. Breaking news this afternoon, just minutes ago, 14.5 to be exact, Newsmax released its earnings for the latest quarter. And yes, it is great news. We're very proud of it. Since going public, Newsmax had its first profitable quarter. CEO of Newsmax, Inc., Chris Ruddy, joins me. All right, Chris, I'll let you deliver the news, how well we did this quarter. There's last quarter.
Well, Greta, thank you so much. We just announced at 4 o'clock, now that the market's closed, the New York Stock Exchange, that we had our second quarter results. They're fantastic. They exceeded our expectations. They exceeded the expectations of some of the analysts that covered us. Broadcast revenues were up 21%. That's the main segment of the company. We're a broadcasting company. Total revenues were up over 16%. These are big numbers in this economy, in this market, and in this sector in media. So we're really, really excited about that. And we had profitability for the first time since becoming a public company. Remember, last year, we went and got listed on the New York Stock Exchange. If you look back, there's a lot of people say, the company will never become profitable. We had great profit this year, this quarter, in the second quarter, 2.9 million in net income just for the quarter, over 5.7 million for adjusted EBITDA. And these are very significant numbers. You know, a lot of times when a company goes public, it's not, they don't usually become profitable right away.
I like this is a good time. It's sort of fun to brag and boast. And so I'm going to let you ask you this question. How many countries are we in now?
Well, you know, this is one of the really big areas for Newsmax. We're in over 100 countries that take our American channel. And then there's probably a half dozen countries now that have a license for Newsmax. We started out in the Balkans, Newsmax Serbia, Newsmax Balkans. We launched Newsmax Ukraine. There's a number of other countries that we're launching, and we're seeing a 400% increase in our international licensing fees. Huge jump this year. We went from 3 million last year to 16 million this year. Really bodes well. It shows you that, you know, it's not just the United States market. The whole world is a potential market for news, for American news. And the type of news that we're presenting, people are really tired internationally of CNN International. You worked once years ago for CNN, used to have a great reputation. That's not the case anymore.
One of the things that people watching this think that Newsmax is cable news, but it's the product. Newsmax is a bigger product. We have a lot more than just. I mean, I don't want people to leave cable and go look at our other platforms, but lay out the platforms. We got a lot going on here.
Well, they better not leave your show. There's a lot of important news and information you have to provide today. Well, they all know us from cable, right? We're on cable. We're on, over 50 million homes. We're a top-ranked cable. In fact, of all the cable channels, we're the top fourth highest rated cable news channel. Last year, of all the cable channels Nielsen rated, we were number 6. That's like there's hundreds of cable channels. We were number 6. So we're big. We're reaching a lot of people there. We have a streaming channel, Newsmax 2. That is very significant. People on Roku and other devices on their home TVs can watch us on the streaming channel. We have a Plus service, Newsmax Plus. You can download the Newsmax app on your iPhone and smartphone, on your home TV, and watch us anywhere, anytime in the world. It's very simple to do that, so people can do that after I get off. And then we have social media. We have 27 million social media following. That's huge. I mean, these are not small numbers. And then we have podcasting. There's even a famous person, you may have heard of her name, Greta Van Susteren, on podcasting now on Newsmax. So we're really excited about your podcasting program.
What's the challenge, do you think, going forward for the news business?
Well, I think the challenge is there's so much diversity of news. There's so many ways that people consume news. I say we're for all people on all platforms. The old days, you delivered radio and you were just a radio company or newspaper or TV. Now you have to be on many platforms, and Newsmax is answering that need in this country. And it is a challenge for us every day, but we're doing a good job. And I think there's tremendous demand why Newsmax has been so successful, both as a public company and now with our own financials that we're reporting today. Is that there's just huge public demand, and there's not a lot of competition in our sector because, most of the media in this country is left or far left.
I'm just shocked. I'm coming up almost on 5 years here. I mean, time really flies. I've had a ringside seat on seeing the expansion, so it's been really fun to see. It's wild how it's expanded.
Well, you've been there at some of the starts of some of the big networks. You were at CNBC and then at Fox, and when that began, you were there. So, we feel you're part of this growth story, the success story of Newsmax, and we're very honored that a great journalist like yourself is with us delivering news. And, I think you are very emblematic of what we're trying to do, which is straight news, giving people information and letting them decide.
And with that, I'm going to say goodbye, but I'm going to clip that soundbite, and the next time we're in contract negotiations, I'm going to send it to you. Anyway, CEO of Newsmax, we have great news here. It's fun. It's always fun to succeed. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
President Trump is back in federal court. The lawsuit filed against the president alleges that his expensive subscription for instant access to his Truth Social posts is unconstitutional. Yesterday, The Intercept and Freedom of the Press Foundation jointly sued President Trump and his White House social media team. The grounds? Restricting their access to Trump's posts on Truth Social. Lawsuit claims Trump violated their First and Fifth Amendment rights. Last quarter, Trump Media, that owns Truth Social, began selling direct access to Trump's social media posts in real time. A lot of times, these posts are announcing policy decisions, executive orders, personnel changes, and war declarations. It's not clear how long the president's posts are delayed for the general public. By the way, the price for this early access to President Trump's social media posts is, ready? $100,000 per month. But you can get a discount. If firms are willing to sign up for a 3-year plan, the president's offering a $40,000 a month discount, bringing the cost to $60,000 a month. Professor Emeritus at Harvard Law School, Alan Dershowitz, joins me. Nice to talk to you, Alan. And what do you make of this lawsuit?
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate Newsmax and congratulate you and congratulate Chris for the wonderful job they're doing. Talk about the Constitution. You guys personify the marketplace of ideas. You're competing with CNN, you're competing with other media, and you're winning. And that's what capitalism's all about. And so congratulations, go from strength to strength. This lawsuit itself is essentially an attempt to bring socialism to the market. You know, what Trump's doing is capitalism. You pay, you get information. Anybody can pay, anybody can get the information, and you use the information to your benefit. Nobody's being denied the information. You're just being required to pay for something that's valuable. So I don't think this lawsuit is going to get anywhere. Certainly it doesn't seem to have any First Amendment basis. I don't even understand what the Fifth Amendment claim is, due process or taking property. I don't know what it is. But, you know, everybody today is resorting to lawsuits. And lawsuits aren't the only answer. I mean, even in the tragic case you put on a minute before about that terrible surrogacy situation with the child born in Texas, that really shows the limits of the law. This is a case for common sense and justice. The law hardly has any role to play. Certainly contracts don't have much of a role to play when you have the life of a baby at stake. So I think all three things we talked about today all show the limits of the law, and that in a democracy, the law doesn't take first place. It takes second or third place, public opinion, the legislation. And so I don't think this lawsuit is going anywhere.
Is the unique position of the president, though, does that in any way color your view? Because could the White House, for instance, that press conference that we see almost daily from the press briefing room, could they, if you paid a fee, let you have a feed a half an hour before the other networks if they don't want to pay, so that you get a half an hour jump?
Well, that would be wrong. I think the only clause of the Constitution that has any relevance would be the Emoluments Clause, but that has been very, very narrowly defined. Look, people can argue about whether it's the right way for the president to use his power in making announcements and giving certain people advantages over other people, but other people have other advantages. We have rules.
But what about if the president said in a Truth Social that he's going to fight some big mega merger between a couple companies, and which would impact the stock market? And if you paid $100,000 a month, you'd get, or 60 if you get the discount, so that people raced out and bought stock, and it sort of it's as an advantage over somebody who can't pay because it's coming from the president.
You missed an important step, though. As soon as the information gets to the $100,000 guy, one of them is going to call you, and you're going to put it on Newsmax, and it's going to become public, and it's going to become free. We live in an open, free society with an open marketplace of ideas. There are no such things as secrets except insider secrets, and those are prohibited by law. So I think we have enough protection under the criminal statutes today for insider trading so that you can commodify and commercialize how quickly you get information. You know, even Newsmax could sell in advance what it was going to put on the air an hour from now and give people advantages. There were all kinds of advantages and disadvantages. One reason that people like me don't play the stock market. Instead, we put our money in funds because we know we don't have the advantages. We want to
there was
fund has the same advantage, and funds will subscribe to this thing.
There was an instance recently where I taped an interview with Prime Minister Netanyahu late morning, and it didn't air until, of course, 4 o'clock during this hour. But in the meantime, one of those online betting things or something, or polling, we're asking all sorts of questions about it, and people could actually make money or not based on what we knew. Now, I mean, I knew what the interview was about, but I mean, it just seemed unfair. I mean,
Well,
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, and it's unfair, but capitalism is unfair because some people have advantages over other people. And, you're not allowed to invest based on your insider information. And I'm myself appalled at the fact that today betting is probably the biggest industry in the United States. It's bigger than betting on sports is bigger than all the sports industries put together. That doesn't inculcate good habits and good citizenship into people. So we should address the problem of these betting sites rather than trying to control information. The First Amendment basically says, look, you have the right to put out your information at whatever rate you want to put it out. That's your right. And the public has the right to either buy it or not buy it. People who don't subscribe to Newsmax have a tremendous disadvantage in the stock market or in analyzing issues. And, if you pay for going on Newsmax, you're getting a benefit from it. The same thing is true of any commercial venture, which gives you access to information at different times. So what I worry about is the implications of trying to control this for the First Amendment. I think it could have a negative effect on the free marketplace of ideas, which is why I would be opposed to it.
Just as sort of a non sequitur, I'm still mad that Pete Rose wasn't put in the Hall of Fame. He'd been punished enough till after he died. But anyway, that's a non sequitur about voting.
I was on television, I think 20 years ago. My son produced a show with me on it, debating why Pete Rose should go in the Hall of Fame. And there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that you judge people for what they did on the field. And there was no Charlie Hustle.
But no betting on the game.
The only reason I ever watched Cincinnati Reds and whatever teams he was on was to watch this unbelievable ball player, and he should be in the Hall of Fame. I have a whole list. We could do a whole show. I have a whole list of people in the Hall of Fame that aren't in it yet. Maybe they'll get in it. I also don't like the fact that your right to get in the Hall of Fame expires. We learn information about people sometimes later on that demonstrates that they belong in the Hall. I'm a fanatical baseball fan, so I want to see a more open dialogue as to who gets into the Hall. But
Alan Dershowitz, thank you very much, sir.
Hall of Fame. You should be in the Hall of Fame of journalism. You're such a great journalist. Thanks for doing.
I don't know. I'm coming up on 31 years, and I never expect to stay longer than a few hits on CNN in the 80s. I don't know what's going on.
What I just said in your contract negotiations with Ruddy, but he's tough. He's tough.
All right, I'm going to clip that
Good
one
luck.
too. Coming up, thank you, Alan. Thank you. And there's a new drug out there that if you search it on TikTok, you get this warning. We're going to tell you what the drug is and why it is now the center of a big lawsuit from Big Pharma. That when the record continues.
Everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmidt tonight on Newsmax.
My gutters were clogged, and I know that can be a big problem, so I called Leaf Filter.
Leaf Filter Pros will clean out, reinforce, and protect your gutters. Our surgical-grade stainless steel micro mesh keeps the debris out and water moving. Call or click today.
Flags of Fellowship began as a visible act of remembrance and solidarity. It can honor lives lost, but we have seen it become something more.
All of these flags, they're symbolic of the victims and the people who lost their lives during the October 7th attacks.
We can't just say we stand with Israel. We have to show and explain why we stand with Israel.
We can say, and what we can do as Christians is we can say, never alone.
I believe as a church, as a congregation, we have a responsibility to lead with our faith.
They see us raising those flags, they feel supported,
they also feel proud.
This is the moment they deserve. And the one way is the flag and put it outside.
A flag can be more than a symbol. It can become a bridge of hope and support.
To take part in Flags of Fellowship as an organization or individual, visit www.ifcj.org/FOF.
Omaha Steaks is America's original butcher.
Hold on, steak voiceover guy. I got this. Omaha Steaks is America's original butcher. But what's that mean? It means all these steaks are USDA certified tender.
Well, she's right.
Yeah, they love it. I love that they love it. This is why you get Omaha Steaks.
Right now, get 4 USDA certified tender steaks free when you visit omahasteaks.com/TV.
Skip the grocery store and get...
Yeah, skip the grocery store and get Omaha Steaks today.
Every day, bumps and bangs happen. Bruises are optional. Use daily dermatologist-recommended Dermend and reduce the appearance of bruises. Get Dermend Moisturizing Bruise Cream in the first aid aisle.
Did you hear about SHIELD, that test for colon cancer?
No, what?
It's just a blood test.
No.
Exactly.
SHIELD is for people 45 plus at average risk, not high risk for colon cancer. Ask your doctor about FDA-approved SHIELD.
You can't find a ranch style with a view.
And a mom-in-law suite.
More realtor agents recommend Realtor.com. With their expert new search tool, just search it like you'd say it.
Room for mom.
And Reba. Make it real with Realtor.com.
When Saturday rolls around, I don't want to jump through hoops to watch college football. Good thing DirecTV makes it easy to keep up with my favorite college teams. No hopping between apps or channels.
Stream college football without the hurdles on DirecTV.
Think you need a new roof? Think again. Most roofing companies only make money one way, by selling you a new roof. But what if your roof isn't worn out, just dried out? And with just a little love, you could put off an expensive roof replacement for up to 15 years, at a fraction of the cost of a new roof. Roofmax is a scientifically engineered restoration formula that brings your shingle life back to new. Scan the code and get a free roof tune-up with your Roofmax restoration.
A new weight loss drug is being sold on the black market right here in America. It's called retatrutide, or Retta for short. Currently, the drug is not FDA approved and is still undergoing clinical trials. Eli Lilly makes the drug, and now Eli Lilly is suing over these black market versions. So far, Eli Lilly has filed 6 federal lawsuits against pharmacies, medical spas, and online sellers in 2 states, California and Texas. So are these black markets actually selling the real thing? In a statement, Eli Lilly's chief medical officer warns, quote, "What is being sold on the black market is not a medicine. It is entirely unverified, unapproved, and not worth the risk," end quote. Now some good news about the cost of your groceries with a bit of a caveat. The cost of lettuce gone down. From June to July, the price of lettuce has plummeted. How much did it decrease? A whopping 16.4%. That is the largest one-month decline on record. So that's the good news. Now, of course, you knew this was coming. The not so good news. You may be wondering why lettuce is so cheap right now. Well, people are spooked about the parasite Cyclospora. The FDA says the parasite likely came from iceberg lettuce from a facility in Mexico. The farm that owns that facility has since recalled products from that Mexico location. Here in America, the CDC confirms that since May, there have been nearly 14,000 cases of the parasite. Coming up, what the Pentagon is saying about reports of deteriorating living conditions aboard a U.S. aircraft carrier in the Middle East. That when the record continues.
Free yourself from prying eyes. Ask privately with Duck.ai. Visit Duck.ai to chat privately with ChatGPT, Claude, and other AIs for free. All in one place. Duck.ai is from DuckDuckGo, where AI is private and optional.
Every 8 minutes, a claim of sexual assault is filed against rideshare drivers.
But rideshare companies prohibit both drivers and riders from carrying firearms to protect themselves.
Imagine this banana was a less lethal device capable of incapacitating an attacker in a fraction of a second and allowing you to escape.
At Berna, we don't sell bananas.
Go to Byrna.com to find out how you can always be prepared to defend.
It's 2 a.m., your fever spiked, and you're miserable. Here's your options.
Urgent care, closed. ER, slammed. And you'll spend hundreds of thousands in both. Telehealth, yeah, but the pharmacies are closed.
That's the reason why we keep emergency medical kits at home.
It has doctor-prescribed medication like generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, other antibiotics and antivirals. You can treat flu, pneumonia, strep, sinus infections, UTIs, and more.
Because if you're sick in at night, traveling or stranded, you don't want options.
You want what is inside this kit. No waiting, no pharmacy, and no copays.
Just schedule a quick telehealth call.
And that's how you feel better faster and avoid serious complications.
Every family should have this kit, and here's how to order yours.
Order online in minutes and use the promo code to save $45. Your doctor-prescribed kit ships fast to your door, packed with medications to treat over 30 conditions. So when something hits, you're ready. And a wellness company telehealth doctor is always there if you need guidance.
Why go on Roe? Because 1 in 4 guys.
1 in 4 guys. 1 in 4 guys experience ED.
On Roe, ED feels like no big deal. Connect with a provider to find treatment that could be right for you. 100% online.
Roe designed or curated treatments to make ED feel less stressful. There are options to fit every need, like fast-acting dissolvables or daily gummies. If 1 in 4 guys deal with ED,
then 1 in 4 guys should go on Roe.
Guys, connect with a provider at roe.co to see if you qualify.
It's me, Ricky. You know me. You grew up with me. I'm 56 and a half years of age. I am using this right here, Fatty 15, to get me to feel and look the best I've ever felt at my age. The C15 nutrient in Fatty 15 has been known to strengthen our cells and slow the aging process at a cellular level. And it is a game changer for your overall vitality. I urge you to try Fatty 15. Give your cells what they need and give yourself a chance with more time.
What makes an Erie metal roof different? It's what it's built to outlast. Like winds up to 120 miles an hour. Our metal roofs are built to withstand gale force winds. Plus, it's backed by a 50-year transferable warranty. Get a free consultation today with Erie Home.
My dad had never been in better shape. Then he had a stroke and passed away. But he had life insurance. So even after he was gone, he was still taking care of us. Ethos.com, 10 minutes, 100% online.
Check your price today at ethos.com.
A U.S. news outlet is reporting that the USS Abraham Lincoln, which has been at sea for more than 250 days supporting the U.S.-Iran war, may soon be replaced with the USS George Washington. This news comes after reports of deteriorating living conditions and a decline in mental health among crew members on the ship. These reports have caused an uproar on Capitol Hill, especially since, according to another news outlet, just last month a sailor jumped overboard but was quickly rescued. Today, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth commented on the alleged incident.
Completely misrepresented. Listen, we make sure that every ship, every crew, every captain has everything we can provide them at every single moment. Some deployments are longer than others, and I have more respect and gratitude for those sailors than anybody.
Hegseth's remarks come one day after Senator Richard Blumenthal, who is a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, sent a letter to both Defense Secretary Hegseth and the Acting Secretary of the Navy, Hung Kao. Blumenthal's letter is demanding answers about the living conditions of the USS Lincoln. Blumenthal wrote in part, quote, "There have been widespread reports of shortages of basic supplies, water contamination, plumbing issues, deteriorating mental health, deck safety concerns," and he also adds, quote, "These reports warrant immediate attention," end quote. Retired U.S. Navy FA-18 fighter pilot Matthew Whiz Buckley joins me. Nice to talk to you, sir.
Good to see you, Greta. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad to have you back. Tell me, 250 days sounds like a lot to me. And I realize when you get signed up and you get deployed, it's part of the military. But is 250 days, is that way out of line of what somebody can withstand? Or, intolerable and we should be doing something fast?
Well, Greta, my first deployment was on board the Abraham Lincoln as an F-18 pilot, so I'm well versed in this area. It's a little weird that about a year ago or so, I think Richard Blumenthal, which, his incredible service in the Vietnam War, right? His face was melting off.
We should actually stop there. We should have probably explained that. He said he went to Vietnam and he didn't. I got the reference,
100%.
Believe me. But go ahead.
You got the reference.
Yeah.
But
I got
Greta,
it.
a year ago, these people were frothing at the mouth that the Secretary of War was getting them steak and lobsters. So which one is it? Pick your lane of crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the reasons the Abraham Lincoln is undergoing these type of conditions is because it's under attack. We lost an F-18 off a carrier. Why? Because it rolled over the side as the carrier was maneuvering away from being fired at. So it's either this or 5,000 sailors and Marines on the bottom of the ocean. They are in combat right now, Greta. And these same people, you ready for this? 11 deployments under Joe Biden went over 6 months. And the longest one, I think, was close to 290 days. So the average combat deployment is 6 to 9 months. They're on the right side of that, and they're getting relief. But Greta, I got to be honest with you, I'm going to age myself. My wife had to write letters, right? And we had it was called a sailor phone that cost an arm and a leg to try to be able to call home. And we would call when we got into port. Nowadays, with the internet, with cell phones, there is instantaneous communication. We had 2 sailors jump overboard who were miserable, and we were on a 6-month deployment. So I can't tolerate this. It does suck. But Greta, in the military, we have a saying, embrace the suck. You signed, you raised your right hand, you knew what you were getting into, and if you didn't, you can get out. It's an all-volunteer force. I know it's tough on the family. I've been there. I've done this, but this is a little much. People in this country are giving aid and comfort to the enemy when they highlight this type of stuff.
Just an aside, I'm all in favor of steak and lobster for the people there, because so they're risking their life. I'm not. I'll be happy with French fries or something here while they eat better. Tell me this: I know that the Truman has about 5,000 sailors on it. Is that? I mean, this is as big as it's like a big city almost, or a small town, I guess.
Greta, you nailed it. That's what's absolutely insane. Does Richard go to towns in his state and rip the mayor apart because the plumbing isn't good, or is he fixing all the potholes? This is a ship of war. You know, these are formally called deployments. We call them a cruise. Hey, I did a 7-month cruise on the Lincoln. This ain't the Princess of the Seas or the Oasis of the Seas. This is a combat ship, and it has wear and tear on a daily basis. The young sailors and Marines on this vessel are trying to keep it in good shape. But when I did my deployment on the Lincoln, Greta, we actually were in the Persian Gulf. We would pull into Dubai, and we would have port calls. But the Lincoln can't. Why? Because Iran wants to sink it. This is a prized military target, and it sucks right now. But they really do have to embrace the suck. And I'm not some old man yelling to get off my yard. I've been there and done that. The people that are criticizing this have not. If you haven't raised your right hand to serve this nation, I couldn't care less what you have to say about a long combat deployment.
Matthew Whiz Buckley, thank you, and thank you for your service as well. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Greta. We'll see you.
Coming up, they are known as the Monsters of the Midway, but they might soon need a new nickname. That when the record continues.
Liberals say we do not need voter ID at the polls. Journalist Cam Higbee just proved them wrong. He put on a burqa and went to a polling station in Minneapolis. What happened next is nothing short of a national security crisis. Cam Higbee, in his own words, in a Finnerty exclusive.
I'm a comedian, and I joke about everything. Home repair bills? Not funny. If you're still paying for them yourself, well, that's the real joke. Keep your money. Call Choice Home Warranty now.
Choice Home Warranty covers repairs and replacements on everything from your AC to your ceiling fans.
What did the dishwasher say to the high repair bill? You're all washed up. Keep your money. Call Choice Home Warranty. For real.
Choice Home Warranty can help cover the repair or replacement of over 25 major systems and appliances in your home.
Want to see covered plumbing repair bills go down the drain? Keep your money.
Call Choice Home Warranty right now for special deals today, available only on the phone. And find out how to get your first month of coverage absolutely free. Our award-winning service could save you a lot of money in home appliance and system repair bills. We have a nationwide network of trusted local technicians and have over 100,000 five-star customer reviews. Choice Home Warranty has been named the best home warranty 6 years running. Also won awards for the best claim service. We are available 24/7, and every Choice Home Warranty plan covers repairs and replacements. There's no home inspection, no commitment. Cancel anytime.
AC Fixes got you hot? Keep your money. Choice Home Warranty can handle that for you.
Join the more than 2.4 million homes nationwide who didn't joke around about repair bills. Call Choice Home Warranty right now.
I took the plunge and now I'm a happy Choice Home Warranty customer. So now I can keep my money and relax. What are you waiting for? Keep your money. Call Choice now. No joke. I love it.
Call Choice Home Warranty now and find out about today's special phone deal and ask how to get your first month free.
Call 800-231-0064.
What if your GLP-1 for weight loss was as easy to take as a mint? Small, discreet, and easy. Think about that. No needles. This is compounded tirzepatide, a mint-flavored tablet designed to fit into your daily routine. You simply let it dissolve under your tongue. A simple daily tablet, as easy to take as a mint.
Save $50 with promo code SLIM at dropthepounds.com/slim. That's promo code SLIM at dropthepounds.com/slim.
Case after case, unsolved. They don't care about us. I believe in justice.
You're partnering with one of the most ruthless mobsters in history.
We're gonna let these crackers know their consequences.
Now this is getting good. Kill them all. There's no rules.
They came for me. And my wife.
Who's this?
That's my job.
By any means. Only in theaters September 4th.
For Buffalo Bills fans, a new multi-billion-dollar stadium does not include a good view. On Sunday, the Bills held open practice. Close to 52,000 season ticket holders had a chance to see the new stadium and their seats for the very first time. However, when some fans got to their seats, they were met with obstructed views and a poor sightline. But that's not all. $850 million of the $2.2 billion project was taxpayer money. Now to another sports team we've been following.
We are in regular, almost daily communication with the state of Indiana working on this. We have an excellent deal, a win-win partnership together. And because of the significance of this decision from a stadium standpoint, we will make sure that we take our time to get this right.
That was the president and CEO of the Chicago Bears, Kevin Warren. We still don't have an answer, though, whether the Chicago Bears are really going to do the unthinkable and move to Indiana. But we do have an answer on whether or not the Chicago Bears will change their name. Here's Chicago Bears owner and chairman George McCaskey earlier today.
We will be the Chicago Bears, whether we're in Arlington or whether we're in Hammond. And as Kevin said, our focus is on Hammond. That's where we're advancing our efforts, and that's where the bulk of our time, attention, and resources are being devoted.
Former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich joins me. Nice to see you, Governor. And I did a little research since I thought George Halas, the original owner of the Bears, would roll over in his grave if he thought that that the Bears were moving. But it turns out he didn't like Soldier Field at all.
Well, no, he didn't. And before that, the Bears actually played at Wrigley Field where the Cubs play. And then they moved briefly and played at Northwestern. Then finally, it was Soldiers Field. Look, I think the Bears should have a new stadium. This is a premium football franchise. It's so historic. The last time they were not the Bears was in the Warren G. Harding administration. They've been the Chicago Bears since 1921. And the statements by the general manager there and by Mr. McCaskey really is an invitation to Governor Pritzker to show some leadership. You know, the Bears have a great young head coach, Ben Johnson. We got a great young quarterback, Caleb Williams. Our new head coach made a decision. He's going to sit Caleb Williams down for the first preseason game. That's the right decision. It's time for our head coach of our state, Governor Pritzker, to make the right decision and take the statements that the Bears leadership just made, which was an invitation to say, look, we're being courted by Indiana. This governor is treating us with a lot of love. This legislature is treating us with a lot of love. We would like you to do the same. And if you do the same, in all likelihood, we'll stay in Chicago or in Illinois where we belong. And all I can tell you is the Chicago Bears are not going to be the same Chicago Bears if they're playing football in Hammond, Indiana.
Yeah, that Indiana steals NFL teams, as I cited at the top of the show. They stole the Colts, and now this, as my husband would say. Yesterday, I happened to be in Chicago. I saw Soldier Field, and I thought it was a thrill to see Soldier Field, but I guess it's gotten to be sort of impractical to have a football team there for a lot of reasons. But I thought it was fun to see it, just driving past it. But I don't get, this is going to be such a stain on the governor, at least I think, if you can't keep the Bears in Illinois.
I totally agree with you. It's failed leadership. All I can tell you is, look, it would have never happened if I was the governor. This would have been resolved long ago. This is an important thing for people. The governor's supposed to make decisions on behalf of the people of their state and, of course, our big city, Chicago.
What's his problem? What's his objection? Why doesn't he do this? Because you and I have talked about this for a couple months now. So what's his holdup?
He's asleep at the switch. He's busy running for president. He's busy fighting Trump. He's busy standing in the way of ICE. He's busy keeping Trump from bringing the National Guard here to cut down crime, particularly in the black neighborhoods where 85% of the murder victims are black.
Yeah, but
he's busy playing politics and not doing his job. Pardon?
He's got to know that it's the Chicago Bears. Chicago's in Illinois, and to have it go to Indiana would be so terrible. I mean, he must be flipped out about that. So you'd think that even if he's busy doing all those things you said, he'd be in a full-scale panic to do something, come up with a solution to keep the Bears in Illinois.
Well, you would think so, but unlike me when I was governor, I'm also a big sports fan and kind of athletic. This governor is neither a sports fan, and he's certainly not athletic, and he is failing in his job as governor. Because if we lose the Bears, the people of Chicago and the people in Illinois are losing a premium NFL football franchise. This is not something that a world-class city or a world-class state should have to endure. And if he does this, I think, I think it's going to hurt his presidential aspirations. And frankly, he's up for re-election now, and I think it could have. Go ahead.
I'll tell you one thing: if it does move to Indiana, after the Green Bay Packers stop feeling sorry for you, we're going to mock you about being from Indiana. It's not going to last long that we're going to be nice about before we start making fun of you that you still call yourself Chicago and you don't even know geography.
Look, what you're saying is almost unbearable, no pun intended. We don't want to see that happen. I'm telling you, this Bears team is going to be good. We're Super Bowl, very much a legitimate Super Bowl contender. What a shame when we have a team like this, that our governor is in a position where he could actually lose our team.
Yeah, this one is just so baffling to me, I can't figure it out why the governor would want to risk this one. I mean, even if you're not a Chicago Bears fan, I don't think this is going to help his presidential aspirations. But anyway, we'll see. Governor Rod Blagojevich, thank you.
Thank you very much, brother. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. Coming up, people on social media have done it again. Just how much are they going to make this one man work? That when the record continues.
All across the nation, people can't stop talking about Carl Higbie and Frontline for the big news they need to know. Watch Carl Higbie, Frontline, tonight at 6 p.m., only on Newsmax.
Most companies today, they want loyalty they haven't earned. They want you to trust them before they've proven anything. Then the second something goes wrong, you can't even get a real person on the phone. And that's why proof stands out to me, because the men behind this company are the same men that I served with 20 years ago.
I'm Guy Fieri, and I'm asking for your help in supporting the Tunnel to Towers Foundation as it continues to pay off the mortgages for fallen first responders and Gold Star families who have died in the line of duty and left behind young children. Not only that, but they are also building mortgage-free smart homes for catastrophically injured service members and have recently committed to eradicating homelessness amongst our veterans. We ask you to join us on our mission to do good. Go to T2T.org and donate today.
Almost half of women runners say safety is their biggest concern. Majority of us have to constantly change routes, start times.
Instead of thinking of my pace, we worry about being followed, unwanted attention, and stuff that is simply scary.
Imagine this banana was a less lethal device, capable of incapacitating an attacker, letting you get to safety. At Byrna, we don't sell bananas. Go to Byrna.com to find how you can always safely make it to the finish line.
I was tired of sitting on the sidelines. Now, thanks to Jointivia, I'm back in the swing of things. Wait, $70 for a refill?
You gotta try Single Care.
Just look up your prescription, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and save.
Really?
Really. Single Care crushes the cost of my prescription, almost as much as I'm crushing Chad.
Unbelievable. See why more people are saving with Single Care. Common side effects include shockingly lower prices, excessive fist bumps, and humbling guys named Chad.
Did you hear about SHIELD, that test for colon cancer?
No, what?
It's just a blood test.
No.
Exactly.
So I don't have to spend time doing all that other stuff?
Nope. No. Nope.
SHIELD is for people 45 plus at average risk, not high risk for colon cancer. Ask your doctor about FDA-approved SHIELD from the company trusted in blood tests for cancer for over a decade.
Hey guys, Viagra is not your only option. Roe Sparks act fast and stay active longer. They aren't pills. Sparks dissolve under your tongue to reach your bloodstream for speedy results. Connect with a provider at roe.co/sparks.
I've been in the fitness industry for more than 25 years. I put people through the ringer with their body. You also have to recover, and Fatty 15 is a built-in recovery system for your cells. Fatty 15 strengthens cells from age-related breakdown, and the science supports Fatty 15. You can't have a healthy outside if you're not taking care of the inside. I just feel really good, and I want you to feel good too.
Honey, Mortgage Money 6 says we should keep renting.
Mortgage Money 6?
Reba says more realtor agents recommend Realtor.com. They track every market so you know when to make your move.
He also says that Bigfoot... Got it.
Make it real with Realtor.com.
Yes, we have a Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, job alert. Could he get another job? Users on X say, yes, he could. The memes are pouring in. Yesterday, Carolyn Leavitt announced she's leaving the job as White House press secretary. Naturally, X users quickly came up with her replacement. Who else but Rubio? We have reported on this trend before. Here are just some of the jobs social media users have given to Rubio. The president of Venezuela, the supreme leader of Iran, and quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. Earlier this week, Secretary Rubio was asked about these memes.
Honestly, I don't do a lot of social media like myself, so I don't just track that stuff, but people send them to me all the time. At this point, you know, it's like I think they're running out of material, but the truth is that I don't remember there was like a favorite one, but some are very creative, you know.
It's impressive what they can do.
I know. Well, it's I don't know about impressive.
I feel like
because
it's
not you in
impressive.
the picture.
I think he's wrong. I think it'll be hard to run out of material. And as we reported earlier, CEO of Newsmax, Chris Ruddy, told us about the company's historic financials in terms of revenues and profits. Newsmax just released its quarterly earnings report. To find out more about the report and how to invest in Newsmax, of course, go to newsmaxinvest.com. Newsmax is also listed on the New York Stock Exchange under the symbol NMAX, and we're very proud of the quarterly earnings. Thank you for watching. Ed Henry, The Big Take, is next. Stay with Newsmax.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.